RMJ Movie Reviews back again with another happy Halloween horror movie review. Alright, kind of at this point, we're winding down to the end of the month, so I'm just shooting these suckers out. So I decided to review John Carpenter's Vampires, starring James Woods, Daniel Baldwin, Thomas Ian Griffith, and Cheryl Lee. Yeah, that's right. Oh boy, John Carpenter's Vampires. This is another one that I actually saw theatrically when it was out at theaters. I think me and about two other people saw it when it was out. This film actually came out, I believe it came out fall. I think it was October. It was either September or October of my junior year of high school. It was fall of 1998. It was before it turned 1999. Fall. I believe they had shot this. I think they shot this film in 1996. I think, and I think it just kind of, I don't know what happened with it, but I think it kind of sat on the shelf for a little bit. But I was very excited for this film when I come out. By that time, I had been a big John Carpenter fan. I didn't know that Halloween was a John Carpenter film. Around 1996 was the time. Matter of fact, it was around the time when Curse of Michael Myers come out that I had kind of more been aware of John Carpenter's films. Because Curse of Michael Myers I'd always liked Halloween, but Curse of Michael Myers kind of strangely, that movie got me into knowing specifically what movies were John Carpenter movies. And then, this was the time when the rise of the internet and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, long story short, I was very excited for this film. I had seen the trailer, which I still think the trailer is pretty good. It's on this DVD. And also one of Carpenter's great commentaries that he always gives. It had a really cool trailer. So upon seeing the film, I dragged out one of my buddies, and we went to see the film. And when I saw the film, I kind of had mixed feelings about it. I kind of still a little bit feel that way now, but kind of now I'm at the point now where the film is, I don't know how many 20-something years old or whatever it is now. Or 19, whatever, however old the movie is now. I kind of just accept it for what it is. But at the time, I remember being mixed feelings to disappointed by the film. I felt that a lot of the movie was filler. And upon rewatching it again, I still feel that way now. I just kind of feel like there's a lot of scenes in it that are unnecessary and kind of just don't move the story forward. And I kind of feel like the movie plods along, and I don't feel. And see, you got to remember too, From Dusk Till Dawn was 2 years before, so From Dusk Till Dawn, I mean, and then again, that's by an action-oriented director. But I kind of still, a little bit consider Carpenter, sci-fi horror. But he's still, you look at Escape from New York, Escape from L.A., some stuff from They Live. He's very capable of action. Even, controversial choice, Ghost of Mars, which I don't like that movie, but, it shows he can shoot action. Assault on Precinct 13, But I just felt like the movie plodded along, and I just felt that there just wasn't enough vampire action, especially after seeing From Dusk Till Dawn, which, that was just insane with vampire action, horror and action mixed together, that hybrid. And I kind of thought that that's what I was going to get here at the time. Remember, I think I was 16, or I might have already turned 17. I think I was 17 when this film came out. Yeah, I was 17. But I remember just having mixed feelings and being disappointed by the film, and just I still feel that way now. I don't know what it is. The movie starts out really good, which we meet James Woods, who's the master slayer, and he's got his slaying buddies, and they find this vampire nest and they go in and do some slaying. Starts out cool action sequence, and then you find out that they were looking for the headmaster vampire, played by Excessive Force, Karate Kid Part 3 imitation Steven Seagal, Thomas Ian Griffith himself, And, they don't find the master. Somebody tipped off the master, so he left the nest and let his little vampire minions get killed. But anyway, he tracks down the Slayers to the hotel later on, and he basically murders the entire team and a priest, who's played by Gregory Sierra from Deep Cover, blows his brains out with a double-barrel Mad Max shotgun, and Valak bites this prostitute on her leg, in between her legs. Ooh. And she has a psychic link with him, so they want to figure out what this guy's up to. And after those two sequences, it's almost like the movie just kind of just hits a dead end, and it feels like it didn't really know where to go or how to handle it. I'm not really quite sure what happened here. I think I remember hearing John Carpenter say and reading stuff on the internet that said I think they ran out of money and more needed to be shot, or I think there was actually more I think there was supposed to be more action in the movie, and some kind of way they ended up cutting a lot of it. So I think that's why the movie just kind of has these scenes, particularly in the second act, that just feel like just plotting filler. It's just not moving the story forward. The story should be moving quicker, in my opinion. And I'll name the scenes. The scene where Jack goes back to the hotel and makes sure that everybody doesn't turn into a vampire, chopping. Now, don't get me wrong, cool gore, and of course James Woods walking away from the hotel and it explodes behind him. I mean, cool, but it's not moving the story forward. Daniel Baldwin and Cheryl Lee in the hotel. Before he actually explains to her what's going on, the scene with her laying on the bed, filler, the scene, I mean, it just feels so like, why is the story not moving faster? Why is it not? I mean, it takes almost until I think 50 or an hour before James Wood meets up with the colonel, the cardinal guy who sets up their missions. It's like, what is? It just plods along, and it plods, and it plods, and it plods, and it was just like, and the thing is, the action, in the beginning that scene, and then when Valak comes in and kills everybody in the hotel, which, what I like about that sequence, is that it's not real fancy the way Valak is kind of, he's not doing karate kicks and, from dusk till dawn throwing people 15 feet. It's kind of like primitive. He's like kicking chairs at him and stuff and just kind of backslapping them. And it kind of, at the time, I thought it was kind of a little bit cheesy. But I will say, upon watching it now, this movie kind of tries to be more grounded with the vampires, as if they're not really so much grotesque baddie like they were in From Dusk Till Dawn. They're kind of more like if vampirism existed in real life and how they would really affect someone who was human and is turned vampire. So they're not really ghoulish looking. They're kind of more like Dracula-esque. They look like humans with really big teeth and kind of, maybe kind of slightly pale skin. But, that hotel sequences, he's not doing overly fancy stuff. He's just kind of just doing brutal stuff, which works. But, like I said, those scenes that I mentioned just feel like complete filler, and it's like just nothing happens. And then it takes a while before Valak catches up with this priest, because he's trying to catch up with the priest so he can get this black cross that will like reverse his exorcism so he can walk in daylight and all this kind of stuff. But it takes so long to get there, and that's one thing. This movie's only I think this movie's about an hour and 38 minutes. It's almost an hour and 40 minutes. It feels like it's much longer. And one of the things that I didn't even realize about this movie upon rewatching it now is it really continues kind of the tropes of Carpenter films of characters who are isolated. You know what I mean? Even though they're not contained to one environment in this movie feels very, I hate to kind of say it kind of feels a little bit lifeless. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels isolated and kind of plods. Now, those are kind of my negatives about the movie. Let me go into the positives. Oh, one more negative I also like to say. No. I'll go on to the positives and kind of little nitpicks there. James Woods, he's the whole damn movie. I mean, James Woods is this movie. James Woods is awesome. James Woods will continue to be awesome. He's still awesome now, even at his older age. He's an awesome actor. That man has the strange ability to be able to kind of... Because he's always playing, like, as John Carpenter says, the psychotic heavy, the bad guy. But he kind of has this thing where you even see movies like The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox. He can be very... He's not a traditional leading man, but he can exert, like, this toughness that makes you want to roll with him. Like, he exerts this toughness that you could almost think that he's like a Michael J. Fox-ish leading man type of guy. He exerts that, so like he has a strange like thing where he's kind of magnetic in that way in his toughness. And he's a very small man, but it's just all in James Woods' attitude. You know, you mean it. You believe him when he says stuff. You know, and he just sells the whole damn movie. I mean, James Woods wasn't really known for these kind of pictures. I think this might be the first and only time he did a movie like this. Well, versus Cat's Eye, which is way Stephen King's Cat's Eye, way back in the early '80s. But you know, he really he really carries this entire movie. His supporting cast is good. You know, Carpenter, you know, that's the whole thing. Carpenter always does non-traditional casting. You know, he's got one of the Baldwin brothers, but this time he chose Daniel. Now, Daniel, out of the Baldwin brothers, is the one who kind of gets the most heat. Him and Steven are the one that people tend to beat up on the most, and people more kind of like, of course, Alec, you know, who came out first. People tend to more like Alec, and back in the day when William Baldwin was kind of doing backdraft and all that, he kind of was carrying the rear end, and then he did Sliver and Fair Game and kind of faded away. But Daniel Baldwin is actually very good in the movie. He really, you know, all the Baldwin brothers are charismatic. Even Steven. You know, Steven I thought was really good in Posse, a film I don't think he gets enough recognition for in that character. But Daniel Baldwin is really good here. He really, and if I think I'm right, I think Daniel Baldwin is the second oldest to Alec. I think Alec is the oldest, and I think Daniel is the second. But he very much seems exactly like Alec Baldwin in this movie. He's just a heavier, huskier version of Alec Baldwin. It's kind of creepy to look. I mean, he looks exactly like him and sounds exactly like him. And the character Daniel Baldwin is playing, I really do not believe this is... I really don't believe Daniel Baldwin is acting. I think he was just playing himself. You know, if there's one nitpick about Daniel Baldwin's performance is he's kind of very sluggish. Like, he kind of doesn't move with any kind of urgency. Like, even, like, during the action sequences at the finale, he just kind of... There's, like, some scene where, like, he's pulling the Jeep out and he goes, oh! And I'm like, dude, really? Did you really hurt your neck? A big burly man like you. He's sluggish. He doesn't move with any sense of urgency. But that's one nitpick about his performance. I couldn't stand that when the film came out. Sheryl Lee. Not given much to do, just really be slapped around by Daniel Baldwin and James Woods, and she's good, you know. And Thomas Ian Griffith, you know, I'm not really sure if he was ever really an actor or a karate guy, but I think he's really good in this role. I mean, he's kind of really more presence, but you know, and kind of acting with facial expressions and the makeup and the jacket and all of that. But you know, he's good in the movie. And the guy who, I don't know the actor's name, but I did not realize the guy who plays Padre, the little priest, I didn't realize that he was the guy from Blade who was Nabush Wright's boyfriend. I didn't realize it was the same dude. It's just in this movie he's got a beard, and in Blade he didn't. He got killed. He came back later on where he was like a zombie vampire in the hole at the end of Blade. I didn't realize that was the same dude, but it is. But, you know, all the actors are capable. They're all non-traditional choices for their roles. And also, it carries on the Carpenter tradition of anti-heroes. You know, James Woods and Daniel Baldwin are not nice guys. They're, you know, they're boozers. They screw prostitutes. There's a priest in here who's like just getting drunk with the boys while girls are running around with their tits hanging out. It's awesome stuff. You know, they're not nice guys. And they abuse, as John Carpenter says in the commentary, Jack Crow abuses men and prostitutes and vampires. They're all equal the same to him. He's just a vicious guy. But James Woods awesome, especially, kind of the one-liner about, you want to put garlic around your neck and one of these will bend you over and stick their hand up your strata chakalaka. I love that line. And John Carpenter says in the commentary, he just made that up. It's just awesome. And of course, you've got the traditional Carpenter music, the as he says, cheesy blues music. Hey, it's cheesy, but it works. It's awesome. The traditional wide camera angles, which, this, I don't know if this, I think this is Mexico or whatever, New Mexico, somewhere in Texas. Or, you know what I mean? Somewhere down there, somewhere. Just the landscape looks beautiful. It looks so beautiful. And the cinematography with the Top Gun, Tony Scott look with the warm sepia look. Beautiful shots. Beautiful. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And this pretty much is a Western. This is what this is. This is a Western with vampires. You know what I mean? So, ultimately, James Woods, the music and the Western overtones and just the beautiful cinematography for me is what saves the movie. Because if those things weren't good, I don't know, I'd probably lean more towards, because to be honest, this movie doesn't have high rewatchability, man. I mean, if you're gonna watch it again, it's really fun just to watch James Woods. Couple of the gore scenes. But it's overall just, there should have been more action, and a lot of the action should have been a lot of it much cooler than what it kind of is, So, all in all, Vampires is saved by James Woods and John Carpenter's style and his direction. That's kind of what saves it. But, this is not high on my Carpenter of favorites list. But I can always watch it again because James Woods. He's just the main thing that keeps me coming back to it. And also the finale, too, is a little anticlimactic. It comes too fast. I was hoping there would have been a bigger action sequence for the end, but, just didn't happen that way. So that's my review of John Carpenter's Vampires. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. And leave comments down below about John Carpenter's Vampires. Whether you share the same opinions of me about the film and how you feel about its rewatchability. All right, RJ Movie Reviews. I'll see you guys.